My girlfriend used me for a visa and dumped me right after, so I got her deported and watched her life burn from a distance. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I really thought I'd found the one. We met at a local volunteer event. I was helping organize donations for a shelter, and she was standing at the check-in table, nervous but smiling like she was trying to hide it. Her name was Amira. She said she had just moved here from overseas, trying to start fresh after a messy family fallout. She was soft-spoken, almost delicate, and had this thoughtful way of listening that made you feel seen. From the beginning, it felt
easy. We talked about everything: books, ambition, family dreams.
She told me she wanted to build a life with someone kind, someone steady. I told her I'd always believed in slow love. Ironically, within a few months, she was over all the time. My place slowly became our place. She said her lease fell through and her landlord was sketchy. I didn't hesitate. I told her, "You can stay here as long as you need." She kissed me so softly that night, I thought I'd never regret a thing. Those first weeks living together were magic. We'd cook dinner barefoot in the kitchen, jazz playing in the background. She'd hum while chopping vegetables. We'd dance in the living room for no reason at all. We'd lie in bed, planning trips we couldn't afford, laughing about nothing. I thought, this is what love is supposed to feel like. But there were small moments I ignored, like how she flinched when my mom called, or how she never shared much about her past. Once I caught her deleting texts, but she said it was just spam. I let it go. I wanted to trust her. I didn't realize it then, but I was already being pulled into something I wasn't ready for, and by the time I noticed, I was in too deep. It started one night when I found her sitting on the couch in the dark, her eyes red from crying. I asked what was wrong, and she hesitated before saying, "My visa's about to expire." Her voice cracked when she added, "If I have to go back, it's not safe there for women. You don't understand what it's like." I sat beside her, holding her hands as she trembled. She didn't ask me for anything outright, but the silence between us was heavy. She stared at the floor, whispering things about how she'd worked so hard to build a new life, how she couldn't bear to lose it all. Every word cut into me. I told her, "We'll figure it out. You're not alone." She just nodded, resting her head on my shoulder. That night, I felt like I had to protect her. Maybe that was the first trap. I wanted to be her savior more than her partner. Over the next few weeks, the topic kept surfacing. She'd mention immigration offices, deadlines, lawyers who can't help anymore. Each time, she'd trail off before finishing her sentences, like she wanted me to fill in the blank. My friends started noticing the pressure I was under. One of them, Mark, said, "Bro, be careful. She's moving fast," I snapped back. "You don't know her." "She's not like that." I was defensive, almost desperate to believe what I wanted to be true. Late one night, I caught her Googling marriage requirements for visa extension. She quickly closed the tab when I entered the room. I laughed it off, told myself it was curiosity, but somewhere deep down I knew. She didn't have to ask the question. She was already planting the answer. I married her 6 months after we met. It wasn't some grand romantic wedding, just courthouse papers. A quiet dinner afterward and her crying in my arms saying, "You saved my life." I remember how light her voice sounded when she said it. Back then, I believed every word. For the first week, things felt normal. We still made breakfast together, still curled up on the couch watching random documentaries. But slowly, I started noticing a shift. Small things at first. She stopped greeting me at the door, stopped laughing at my dumb jokes. When I reached for her hand, she'd pull away, pretending she needed to check something on her phone. I asked her one night, "Is everything okay?" She sighed and said, "I'm just tired from work." Don't take it personally, but the excuses kept stacking up. I'm stressed. I have cramps. I just need space. Weeks passed without so much as a kiss goodnight. It felt like I was married to a ghost, someone who shared my home but not my heart. She'd come home late, smelling of expensive perfume I'd never seen her wear before. Her phone was always face down, always on silent. When I asked about it, she laughed and said, "You're being paranoid." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to so badly. So I told myself this was just the adjustment phase of marriage. I tried to be patient, supportive, brought her flowers, made her favorite meals, but she'd just mumble, "Thanks," and go to bed early. The woman who once looked at me like I was her future now looked through me like I was furniture. Something had changed. And deep down, I think she knew I could feel it. It was a Friday night, and we were at a friend's game night, something I used to love, back when I still felt like myself. As I was refilling my drink in the kitchen, my buddy Chris pulled me aside. He didn't mince words. "Hey, man. Are you okay? You seem drained." I forced a smile. "Nah, I'm good. Just work stuff." He gave me a long look, then added quietly, "You don't have to lie to me. You look like you haven't slept in weeks." I brushed it off. Told him everything was fine. That Amira was just stressed from work, and so was I. That marriage was an adjustment. The usual excuses, but walking home that night, I realized he wasn't wrong. I was drained, completely. Not just from her distance, but from the sheer effort it took to keep pretending like things were okay. She never helped with bills, not rent, not groceries, not even splitting dinner. Whenever I asked about money, she'd say she was waiting on a job transfer or that her paycheck was delayed. Yet somehow she had new shoes, new bags, always dressed up to go out with girlfriends who I'd never met. And her phone? Always locked, always upside down. I couldn't remember the last time I'd seen her without it in her hand or hidden away. One night I tried to talk. I said, "I feel like we're drifting." She rolled her eyes. "You're being paranoid again." God, do you have to control everything I do? It hit me like a punch. I wasn't controlling, I was desperate. Desperate to understand what was happening to my marriage. But after that, I stopped asking questions. Because every time I did, she made me feel like I was the problem, and part of me started to wonder. Maybe I was. It started with what she called a small favor. One evening, she sat beside me on the couch, quiet, almost fragile. "Babe," she said softly, "I just need to book a consultation with an immigration lawyer. It's a one-time thing and it's urgent. Can I use your card just this once?" I hesitated. My gut clenched, but she looked so helpless, so sincere. I told myself, what kind of husband wouldn't help? So I gave her the card. She kissed me on the cheek and said, "Thank you. You have no idea what this means to me." That night, I didn't sleep well. Something felt off. A week later, I got the credit card statement in my email. $473.92, not just the lawyer. She'd used it for shopping, clothes, cosmetics, even a payment at some spa downtown. I felt like I'd been punched in the chest. When I confronted her, I expected regret. I expected even a shred of guilt. But instead, she folded her arms and said coldly, "You offered, remember? Don't twist this into something abusive." I stood there stunned. "You said it was just for the lawyer," she cut me off. "Are you seriously monitoring my spending now?" Wow, that's controlling and toxic, I should have yelled. I should have done something. But instead, I shut down. I paid the bill quietly, ashamed and exhausted. After that, something inside me cracked. I didn't trust her anymore. Not with money, not with words, not with me, but still. I stayed, because a part of me clung to the hope that maybe she was just going through a hard time. Maybe she was scared, cornered, desperate, or maybe I just didn't want to admit I'd married a stranger. It happened by accident. I was vacuuming the living room while she was in the shower, trying to clear my head, clear the air, anything to stop feeling like I was living in someone else's life. I bumped into her handbag on the floor and it toppled over. A second phone slipped out. I stared at it. Matte black case, no stickers, no lock screen wallpaper, just blank. My heart started thudding in my ears. She'd never mentioned a second phone. I picked it up thinking maybe it was work-related. But it was locked. No fingerprint access, no facial recognition. I set it back down. Told myself it wasn't my business, but all night I couldn't sleep. I lay there beside her, her breathing soft and steady, while my mind screamed questions. Around 3 a.m., I got up. The phone was still on the kitchen counter where I'd left it. Out of instinct or desperation, I tried her usual password. Her birthday. It unlocked. The first message thread was with someone named Leo. Dozens of texts. I hate sleeping next to him. He bought it. "I can't believe how easy this is. Just a few more months. Once I get the green card, I'll be free." My vision blurred. My fingers trembled. I scrolled further. Photos, voice memos, even saved screenshots of me cooking for her with laughing emojis underneath. This wasn't confusion. It wasn't miscommunication. This was betrayal, calculated and cold. She had never loved me. She loved the escape I gave her. The passport. The protection. I stood there in the kitchen, in the dark, holding the truth in my hand, and she was just a few feet away. Sleeping like she had nothing to hide, I wanted to scream. I wanted to wake her up that night and throw the phone at her feet and ask her who the hell Leo was. But I didn't. Instead, I slipped the phone back into her bag and sat on the edge of our bed, numb. Rage simmered under my skin, but it didn't boil over. Not yet. I needed proof. Not just for me, but for whatever came next. So I became someone else. Someone careful. Someone quiet. By day, I smiled through dinners. I nodded while she talked about her long days at work. I even told her, "I love you," while a part of me died every time I said it. But at night, I was documenting everything, screenshots of messages, emails she sent to immigration, the receipts she left lying around, even voice memos when she spoke to Leo on the balcony, thinking I couldn't hear. I backed up the data to a hidden folder on a separate drive. I started reading about visa fraud, what counts, what doesn't, the difference between suspicion and evidence. I learned the timelines for green card interviews, how many months she had left, and what questions agents ask during interviews. I found online forums, places where people like me told their stories. People who married for love, only to realize they were used like stepping stones. For the first time, I wasn't shouting into the void. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't weak. And I definitely wasn't alone. I started planning. Not for revenge. Not yet, but for truth. For clarity. For justice. Because if she thought I was going to let her walk away clean, she didn't know me at all. I came home on a Thursday evening, arms full of groceries, only to step into silence that felt wrong. The living room was half empty. Her favorite throw blanket gone. Her makeup from the bathroom gone. Half her clothes, her shoes, her jewelry, all missing. I dropped the bags and ran from room to room, calling her name like it would make a difference. But deep down, I already knew there was no note. No voicemail. Just a text that came 10 minutes later. I need space. Don't contact me, that was it. After everything, after I paid her debts, gave her my home, gave her my name, she vanished with one line like I was some casual fling she'd grown bored of. And the worst part? We were still legally married. I kept refreshing her socials like a fool. Days later, she posted a selfie from some rooftop bar, skin glowing, wine glass in hand, and a man's arm barely visible at the edge of the frame. I didn't need to guess. It was Leo. More photos followed. Her laughing in a club, new outfits, new energy. She looked free, unbothered. Meanwhile, I sat in a half-empty apartment, surrounded by memories that didn't mean anything anymore. She had taken what she wanted, security, shelter, status, and left me with the mess. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't even drink. I just sat on the floor and stared at the wall until morning. Something inside me, whatever was left of the hopeful, trusting man, cracked wide open. And what was left wasn't soft anymore. It was sharp, cold, focused. She thought she'd walked away clean. But she didn't know what I was about to do next. I used to think revenge was loud, explosive, some dramatic moment, where you throw everything in their face and walk away while the world burns behind you, but mine wasn't like that. Mine was quiet. Surgical. The day after she moved out, I called immigration. I asked what the process was to report suspected marriage fraud. The woman on the line was calm, professional. She asked for documentation. I said, I have everything. And I did. I sent them copies of the burner phone messages, photos, bank statements, showing she spent thousands under false pretenses. I included emails, her green card paperwork, even a recorded voicemail where she joked to Leo that she was so close to being free. I didn't add commentary. No long-winded explanations. Just facts. Then I consulted a lawyer, anonymously. I asked what would happen if someone filed a fraud report. He explained the steps: investigation, interviews, potential revocation of residency status. I asked how long it would take. He said it depended. But once the green card interview came, it would all come to a head, and that's when I learned the date. Her interview was just a few weeks away, so I sent one final package, a neat labeled folder with everything. Every lie, every receipt, every message she never thought I'd see. Then I did nothing. I didn't call her. I didn't warn her. I didn't give her the satisfaction of knowing I was still hurt. I just sat back and waited. She thought she'd won. She had no idea the storm was already coming. She showed up to her green card interview looking like she didn't have a care in the world. I wasn't there, of course. But a mutual friend, someone who worked in the same building where immigration offices were located, texted me later. Dude, she walked in dressed like she was going to brunch. I could picture it clearly. That fake confident smile. The helpless but sweet persona she wore like armor. But what she didn't know was that the officials weren't unprepared. They were armed with everything I'd sent. According to my lawyer, they started off with basic questions, dates, timelines, where we met, our wedding story. She gave the same polished answers she'd rehearsed 100 times. Then they started pressing, asking things I knew she wouldn't expect, like why her husband hadn't accompanied her, why her financial records showed she hadn't paid a single shared bill, why she had 2 phones listed under separate names, and then came the real bomb. They read back one of her own messages to Leo, the one where she wrote, "Just a few more months. Once I get the green card, I'll be free." That's when she broke. She panicked. Denied everything. Said I was bitter, abusive, trying to ruin her life because she left me. She cried, played the victim card, spun every lie she could, but it was too late. The evidence was airtight. The interview ended in silence. No approval. No congratulations. Just a flat thank you and a stack of paperwork. A week later, I got the update. Her case was flagged for fraud. Deportation proceedings had begun. She had no idea it was coming. And I wasn't going to be the one to tell her. It started with a voicemail. I hadn't heard her voice in weeks, not since she vanished and left our apartment half empty. But there it was, soft and trembling on the recording. "I'm so sorry. I messed up, please call me back." I didn't. Then came the texts. At first, just 1 or 2. "Can we talk? I need to explain." When I didn't respond, they came faster. "I miss you. I made a mistake." Leo wasn't what I thought. I kept my phone on silent. Watched every message roll in without typing a word. But then she crossed a line. She showed up at my job. I was walking to my car when I saw her waiting by the back entrance. Wearing a hoodie, hair messy, no makeup. She looked nothing like the polished version of herself I used to know. Her eyes lit up when she saw me. "Please," she said, stepping closer, "just let me talk. I was scared, okay? I didn't mean for any of this to happen. Leo, he used me. I thought I loved him, but I was wrong. I was stupid." Her voice cracked. She reached for my arm. "I need you. Please, let's fix this." I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time, I didn't feel heartbreak. I felt nothing. I pulled my arm away and said calmly, "I don't know you." Then I turned around and walked away. I didn't check to see if she cried. Didn't turn back. Didn't feel guilty. She'd played her game, and she lost. After I walked away from her, I thought I'd feel strong, empowered, victorious, but that's not what happened. Not at first. What followed was weeks of numbness, then guilt, then a crushing weight of depression I didn't see coming. I felt humiliated, used, like a fool who handed over his heart and identity to someone who saw me as a stepping stone. I stopped eating properly. Showed up late to work. Missed deadlines. My boss pulled me into his office one day and said, "I don't know what's going on, but you need to get it together." I almost lost my job. Almost didn't care. Some friends, people I thought were lifelines, quietly stepped back. They didn't want the drama. Didn't want to take sides. I could feel them pulling away. And honestly, I didn't blame them. I was at my lowest. Not because of what she did, but because of what I allowed myself to believe for so long. That love had to be earned by suffering. That loyalty would be rewarded. That giving everything meant something, but somewhere in that darkness, something shifted. I booked a therapy session. Just one, told myself I'd try. That first hour I barely spoke. Just sat there, shoulders tight, eyes burning, but I went back. Again and again. I started journaling, lifting weights, taking walks at sunrise, eating better. Bit by bit, piece by piece, I rebuilt what she had shattered. I wasn't the same man anymore, thank God. And for the first time in months, I started sleeping through the night. No dreams of her. No flashes of betrayal, just quiet. Just peace. And I realized that was the real victory. About a month after our last encounter, I got the news. She was deported. No warning, no long trial, just gone. Quietly processed and sent back. I didn't hear it from her, of course. It came from a mutual friend who messaged me late at night. "Hey, I just heard. She's out of the country," I didn't reply. I just stared at the message for a long time. Let it sink in. Days later, I saw a post on someone's Instagram story, one of her old college acquaintances. A blurry photo of her, back in her home country, sitting on a dusty porch. No glam, no filters, just reality. The caption? "Back to square one." Word started to spread. She was living with distant relatives now, unemployed. Leo? He dumped her as soon as the deportation was confirmed. Classic. Then came the final blow. Someone told me her own family had cut ties with her. Apparently they found out about the visa fraud, the fake marriage, everything. Shamed the entire household. I didn't gloat. Didn't post anything. Didn't even speak her name. I just watched from a distance as the very world she built on lies collapsed underneath her. It wasn't revenge that brought me peace. It was watching karma work slowly, precisely, and without any help from me, and yes, it was coldly satisfying, because for once I didn't have to do anything. She played her game. She cashed in everything I gave her. And in the end, she lost everything. All I had to do was let it happen. One quiet evening, months after it all ended, I sat down and wrote her a letter. Not because I missed her, not because I wanted her back, but because I needed to get it out, everything I'd never said, everything she'd never care to hear. It wasn't angry. It wasn't laced with bitterness or insults. It was just honest. I started with, "You didn't destroy me. You taught me." I told her thank you. Thank you for showing me what manipulation looks like in real time. Thank you for teaching me how far someone will go when they see you not as a person, but as a transaction. I wrote about the nights I lay awake, blaming myself. The days I questioned my worth. The silence I carried like a second skin, and then how I survived it. I told her I hoped she someday feels real love. Not the kind you chase for documents or status, but the kind that holds you accountable and heals your soul. And I ended it simply. I don't hate you. I just don't carry you anymore. Then I folded the letter, walked to the kitchen, lit a match, and dropped it in the sink. The paper curled into ash slowly, silently, and with it, the last remnants of what she meant to me burned away. I stood there for a long time, watching the smoke rise, and for the first time, it didn't hurt. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need her to suffer. I just needed her to be gone. That letter was never meant for her. It was meant for the version of me that still needed to let go. Healing didn't come in a single moment. It came in waves, some gentle, some crashing. There are still days I flinch when someone says, "We need to talk." I still hesitate when someone laughs too loudly at my jokes or when a first date feels too perfect. I still check for red flags the way others check the weather, automatically, constantly, but I'm healing. I'm seeing someone new now. Her name is Maya. She's soft in a way that doesn't ask me to be smaller. She doesn't pressure, doesn't push. When I told her everything about Amira, the fraud, the emotional wreckage, she didn't pity me, she just listened. And when I finished, she said, "I'm glad you're still here. I'm more cautious now, slower to trust, but not bitter, not broken. I've learned to hold both things at once, the hurt and the hope." And strangely, that's where I found purpose. A few months ago, I started a small online support group for others who've gone through what I did, people used for visas, citizenship, financial gain, people who thought they were building a life and ended up building someone else's escape plan. We share stories. We help each other document cases. We remind each other that we're not fools, we're human. And every time I read a post from someone saying, "I thought I was alone," I remember how it felt to be lost in that darkness. Now my pain has a place. It has meaning. Amira's story could have defined me, but I refused to let it. She was a chapter, not the ending. If you're reading this, please listen to me. Don't ignore the signs. If someone makes you second-guess your instincts, that's a sign. If you feel like you're being slowly erased, drained, used, but you're still hanging on, hoping for proof, you already have enough. I waited too long. I excused too much. I told myself love meant sacrifice, patience, loyalty. But love should never come with emotional blackmail. It should never make you feel smaller, quieter, or scared to ask questions. I spent months living with someone who looked me in the eyes and lied like it was second nature. I gave her everything, my time, my trust, my future, and she used it as a ticket out of her own mess. But in the end, I got out not with revenge, not with violence, but with truth, clarity, and the strength to walk away. If you're in something that feels wrong, even if you can't explain why, trust yourself. You don't owe anyone your silence. Ask questions. Set boundaries, say no. And if they call that controlling, maybe they're just afraid you're waking up. I used to be embarrassed by what happened to me. I felt stupid, naive, weak. But I'm not. And neither are you. I'm free now. Not just from her, but from the version of myself who thought being needed was the same as being loved. You deserve love that doesn't make you bleed for it. You deserve honesty, not games. And if your gut is screaming, please don't wait until it's too late to listen. That voice inside you, it's not paranoia. It's self-preservation.